All right. So maybe you've heard of Kubernetes. Maybe you use Java. What I'm doing here is I've upgraded some things, and I've found myself with a little bit of a problem. When I hit this URL, Java grunt, this is the actuator. When I hit this locally, what it's doing, it was scaled to 0. So then I can go over here and I can see that gateway stood up. It's only been up for 9 seconds. It stood up, it answered the call, and then it'll shut down here in a sec. But the timing here, right? The timing wasn't so bad. If I do that same thing and I put a time, yeah, right? Like that's totally doable. That's what I expect. Even if I let this terminate, I believe that I have it set to terminate after a few seconds or 2 minutes, perhaps. Let's go find that. I try to put all of this stuff in the public so you can follow along. So I'm using some conventions, right? It's not the most flexible across the board, but I'm using some conventions here. The way that I've deployed this after 60 seconds, right? So it's gonna scale down after 60 seconds. So we'll go ahead and wait because I want to validate my assumptions here. The way, actually, I'll show one more piece here. My concept, what's been working up to this point is I can have things stand up, and I'll actually show another example. Let's draw some pictures to help, and it'll help me, right, tell the story, I think, and then maybe it'll help you understand a little bit. I've got a cluster. Typically it's a Raspberry Pi, right? And inside of that, I'm putting Cloudflare D. And what this does for me and for my Raspberry Pis is I don't have to have a bunch of infrastructure, physical infrastructure, doing port forwards. The idea here is when I start up Cloudflare D, I'm not going to have multiple inside that cluster. It's going to call out to the cloud. I'll draw a picture of the cloud here. It's going to call out. It's going to say, hey, here I am. And it'll establish a bidirectional connection with that cloud so that if I ask for javagrunt.com, then that request managed by Cloudflare, let's put that in there. It'll manage that request, and because I said, hey, I'm listening for JavaGrunt, it'll do this, and I'll have that bidirectional. So I get a nice secure connection with Cloudflare. That's the idea. But this week, recently, a customer conversation asked about cluster service mesh, right? What if I want to have this backing service idea? So I'm going to say service mesh question mark. And I've used this before. I have my default setting is to use Cilium. And they said, hey, what about service mesh? So I was just going to go and I was going to change some things around. Again, during the week, I like to have my clusters, my stuff. It's up on blocks. I'm in the hood and I'm making changes. That's what I'm doing right now. But on the weekends, I want to take it out and I want to take it faster on the corners. So here we are. I wanted to make these changes. And I set up service mesh and I did things a little bit differently than I've done in the past. And what I noticed was when I go here, I go to javagrunt.com, you see how long it's taking right there? That's not a good thing. I don't want that. So it's taking a little bit of time. I'm glad that you're here. Josh is actually in the UK. Josh is in the UK. I've stolen his channels and I'm streaming on his streams because we're working together. We're on the same team. My name is Deshaun. It's nice to meet you. DMOC, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. My parents always watch my streams. So if you're joining, say hi. Let me know where you're from because my parents, they get a kick out of seeing people from all over the place. Hi, I love you, Mom and Dad. But yeah, if you're stopping in, It's late on Friday for me. Wherever you are, let us know where you're from when you say hi. This is not good, right? This isn't the way it should be. I'm gonna go over here and I've got another cluster running on another machine. And I'm gonna go to Deshawn.io, actuator health. And that's the expectation. That's what I want to see. So let's do two things. Our gateway service didn't even come up. So this is not good. So this request has happened, but something's not working right. This one, let's set up the same way. So this is a before picture. So let's go over to that machine. I've got another machine running that has Deshawn.io. This is one of the benefits that I have here. If I go over to this box, and I think I should only have the one context, and I should see this context. So if I look, so in this, let me show you what I'm talking about. I'll try to give you a lay of the land here. Like I said, all of this is out there, except for the secrets, I hope. I've got these different clusters that I use, and I move things around. And part of what I've set up for myself is, look at this. Hello, LTS, wonderful. Thank you for joining from Morocco. And JF, hey, from Sweden. Awesome. I have these tenants. These are the different domains, the different applications that I'm deploying to production. So this Deshawn.io has some backing services. In order to deploy those to a cluster, the only thing I need to do is go into that cluster. We're on this cluster, add that config. Hey, Deshawn.io, grab the tenants and deploy that. My children will never deploy active passive, so I like to make this setup one where I can do this with multiple clusters, right? So just by adding a tenant to another cluster, I let Cloudflare do the work, and I can take traffic from wherever that cluster is for that domain. So let's back up. This is the goal. This is the way I have it set up. This is why I have it set up that way. So we can see that, hey, here in K3 Tanzu, we have that tenant Deshawn.io. This has been up for 2 minutes and 23 seconds. So this gateway service is set up a little bit different. I've given the ability to the tenants to set up their own configuration. So let's go look in that Flux repository, and we're gonna look for the gateway, and we're gonna see how long is this one. So this one says 300 seconds, so that's 5 minutes. So that Deshawn.io gateway service is gonna scale. When it comes up, it's gonna stay up for 5 minutes. That doesn't really help my case. It's gonna make a boring stream. So we can do a couple of things here. Let's go change that real quick. Again, a tenant. So are you planning to upgrade to Ubuntu 24? Yes, 24.04. So let's take a look at here. I've been in this process and I've been doing it live. If I'm kubectl get nodes -o wide, we should see that, boom, I did it. So I'm gonna upgrade all of these clusters, and they're not all showing up here in my context, but you can see here where the number of clusters that I need to upgrade. So I'm in the process. I'm going to be doing some of these upgrades, but I can tell you it's pretty straightforward. The thing I like about Ubuntu's upgrade process is it opens up that SSH port, but so far, because I like to stay current and I'm staying updated, the pain of upgrades, I don't feel it so much. I've got these muscles, I'm exercising it. If I keep everything current, even if there is something that I get stuck on, I'm exercising those muscles, and I can figure out once and then I can apply to the rest. So that's the goal. So I am on the latest. I'm almost on the latest version, but this is what I've settled with using K3s as my consistent Kubernetes model, and it's not quite there yet. It's not on the latest and greatest yet, but it's moving. It's moving. So Yes, we're upgrading. We're doing this in place. I've got another server that I'll be upgrading here in just a minute. So yeah, stick around. So where was I? I think I explained things. What I want to do is figure out how come this is happening when everything looks good. So now it only happens from the browser. This is another interesting thing. Here's my Cloudflare D that's inside of my Java Grunt COM tenant on this Ampere cluster. And when I hit it from the browser here, I'm gonna hit it one more time. It's spinning. I expect to see the gateway service stand up. It's scaled to 0, but I expect to see that gateway service stand up, and it's not. Now, here's the interesting thing, and help me out. I'm looking for help. I obviously don't have the answers here. If I come over here and I go HTTP, right? I did it over here somewhere. We'll do it again. If I say time, HTTPS, javagrunt.com. If I do that, oh, sorry, request it, HTTP. I'm using HTTP Pi client. If I request it, look at it, it stood up that gateway service and it did its thing. But please hold, this is my wife. Thank you. Thank you. The only change that I've got between these two clusters is that I've added Cilium. The rest of the configuration is pretty much the same. And I'm confused as to why. What did I do in my setup that made this break? So one of the changes that I'm experimenting with is kubectx. I switched to this cluster. In this cluster, I deployed Cilium, but the way that I deployed, so this was just a couple of hours ago, the way that I deployed K3s, I did it slightly different. The difference was I got to look at my notes. I think I just took off the external IP. Is that what I did? So I don't have an external IP. If I go back here, kubectl, kubectx Ampere. See, this is a change that I added while I was doing my Cilium config, and I don't know why I added it. I don't remember, and I didn't take good notes. So when I deployed my MGMT cluster, I didn't have the external IP. I thought, well, maybe there's something happening that I'm not aware of. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that tenant from Deshaun.io, the tenant of Deshaun.io. I'm going to take it and I'm going to move it from that Tanzu cluster, and I'm going to move it to this MGMT cluster. So here's what we're going to do. Let's go back to this. Let's bring that up. Let's show, I'm hitting 0 so I can show all the namespaces. So there's nothing here, right? It's just kube system. You know what? And it's not even, it doesn't even have the Flux CD, so I got to do that first. So while we're connected to that, I need to function cloud. You get to see all of this fun stuff. What I need to do is let me verify, which I'm verified. I'm on that management cluster. I want to make sure, have I done all these things? Let me check Cilium cluster mesh status context MGMT. So cluster mesh is installed. It's connected. This is good. And it says I'm connected to both of the other clusters. The only difference is on this cluster, I don't have that external IP. That's the only difference. And what I'm checking to see, is that the thing that caused it to break? So I need to do something. I need to bootstrap that cluster with my Flux stuff, my GitOps pieces. Let me pull this. Oops, let me pull this over so you can see exactly what I'm doing. I've got some instructions here in my README. This is the way I bootstrap a cluster. Let me hit that. So again, I'm going to verify because I'm in management cluster. I want to bootstrap that management cluster. When I hit this button, it's going to run that thing. It's bootstrapping it, and what I'm going to see here is that I get my Flux information. Everything is in GitOps. This is key. I want all of this information. This makes it easy to, like, if I mess up, I can blow it away and I can reapply and we'll be in good shape. Just bootstrap. But again, I'm making a change here. I've deployed Cilium. I've got cluster mesh, so my clusters are going to be talking to each other. This is good to know. Terraform doesn't support Ubuntu 24 Noble yet. Thank you for that info. So for this cluster, again, you can see all of this information. For this cluster, I'm here, the clusters, and on the MGMT cluster, this is what we expect to get. We expect to get Grafana and Prometheus, nothing else. So let's let that all deploy. It looks like it's running. It looks like it's running. Okay, so things are healthy. This is good. But remember, now I have another cluster working over here that has Deshaun.io. Well, I don't want Deshaun.io over there. I want to move it so that I can verify this traffic. So that was in this cluster. What I'm going to do is just take this whole thing. I'm going to move it down here. All right, so what I've said here, git pull, the changes that I've made, that's for something else. I can remove that. The only change is I've moved my tenant, Deshaun.io, from the K3d Tanzu over here to the management. There's one more thing that I know I need to do, and that's this. I got to make sure that I've got the right keys in this cluster. So I'm in my new target cluster. Let me deploy those keys. That's done. And then I'm just going to add git commit move Deshaun.io to GMT. I pushed it. I'm doing my commit. So now over here, I'm going to see it disappear from this cluster, and I'm going to see it show up over here in the MGMT cluster. That's what I did by moving that config. I could have left it in both, but then it would be harder to evaluate. It'd be harder for me to test because when I hit Deshaun.io, I don't know which cluster it's going to, and I'm trying to test this MGMT cluster. So I'm moving it. So we should see things happen. So it's gone. So from this repository, or from this cluster, the Tanzu cluster where it was originally, it's no longer there. And we should see it coming up here shortly. Hopefully. Let's take a look. Let's go over here to my customizations. And it says, there's a dependency here. Okay. So in this one, I had already checked the box. It had key native serving. But in MGMT, the infrastructure, I didn't deploy key native serving. So I need to do that. And how hard is that going to be? Well, it's going to be about, I can't take this one because this is ARM64. This is x86. I've got a multi-architecture home lab. So I'm going to grab it from, do I have another one? Build? It doesn't have key native serving. So let's just do it this way. I'm still going to copy this one over here. Yep, we're going to add it, except we're not going to do this one. I have another box. So what is all this infrastructure? This infrastructure, these are the things that I support on my path to production. So I've got a configuration for ARM64 and for without ARM64. So this should be all that I need to do. Status, I've added one. K3s serving, get. So now what should happen is that in this cluster that now has K3s serving, Deshaun IO should start listening. It's got Cloudflare D deployed as part of the tenant down here. Got that. So all of these things will be deployed in that Deshaun IO namespace. Now that it's got the requirements. So we're going to look for this to get resolved. And that's the nice thing is eventually it'll get there. The timings, it's checking my repositories every minute or 2 minutes. And Flux, the GitOps workflow system, it's going to be checking to make sure like, hey, can I fix this yet? Can I fix this yet? So it's working on it. I added K3s serving. So we'll just wait here for a minute. And then unfortunately, I'm going to have to go. My wife's call said, hey, we're going to go have some dinner as a family, but I will be back. So now I can see that K3s serving is coming. It's being reconciled. It's being deployed. If I jump back over to my pods, I will see all of this work happening. K3s serving is coming in. Here it is. And once that, I put a dependency in my tenant. I put the dependency. Where was that dependency? Where was that dependency? It was here. Here. Depends on K3s. Fantastic. All right, so I can close all these. We can go check to see if things are coming up. Oh, there's one more thing. Oh, I'm running out of CPU, which that shouldn't happen. Oh, that's because of this. I'm also deploying Olama AI model. But the one I want to check is this. Did I get all of the secrets? Let's do it this way. I'm gonna hit D to describe. Do I have all of the secrets that I need? It says assign. Nope. It says it doesn't have the secrets. What did I do wrong here? Let's try this. I'm going to delete this one and see if it has the secrets. If maybe it got applied before I put the secrets in there. Oops. Nope. It says no, the secrets are not there. So maybe I set up this tenant differently. I apologize for that. Let me see if I can get that fixed real quick. Oh, I know what I did. I have those secrets set up differently. The old way, the not cool way. I did it this way. So what I need to do is this. I gave myself some notes, hopefully. I'm searching, I'm a little flustered, come on. Where I do the, oh, I took it out. I took it out of my notes to force me to move it, to migrate it. Oh, that's no good. I'm thinking, because I want to get that secret. Please hold. Because I'm dealing with secrets, I'm going to go look at this other page real quick. And then I got to hurry because I know my wife is ready to roll. I'm trying to look for secrets. And let's see if we can find something to apply here. Come on. Can I compare? Local. Where did I put the... This is it, right? This is what we do. This is what you do. Or maybe it's not you, maybe it's somebody on your team that is just trying to make it so that it works the way we want it to. We just want things to work. We want the buttons to work. And I wish I knew where my notes were. So I can apply this secret. Oh, here we go. I found my notes. So I know how to get the secret out of get the secret out of my secret store. I'm gonna try to do it. Okay, so it's not there. So let's do, it's Deshaun-io. Okay, now we've got secrets. Hopefully. Now we've got secrets. So what I'm gonna do is, in order to make sure that this can mount those secrets, I'm gonna hit Control D so that it recreates that Cloud40 container, and now it has the secrets that it can mount. So now we're in good shape. So now that backing gateway service is terminating. It's been up for 5 minutes. So again, we're in this new cluster and it's scaling all of that to 0. And my quick little last test is, can I access this? This one has Cilium, it has cluster mesh, but the difference is that this cluster doesn't have the external IP. And I want to see if when I hit that Deshaun.io endpoint, I want to see if it starts up fast. And yeah, and maybe that, if it does, then that's my answer, I think. So let's go and see what we get. So this Deshaun.io actually, this is going to be hitting that management cluster that doesn't have the external IP, that does have Cilium and cluster mesh. All right. Oh, that was fast. Okay, then maybe we figured it out. So it scaled up. It scaled up that gateway service and it responded. The only difference between this MGMT cluster and that Ampere cluster was that external IP. So I think I found my answer. Here we are. So if you would like to, follow along and see what the rest of it looks like, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to destroy that cluster. Remember, those clusters are already hooked up with Cilium. So I'm going to go and I'm going to destroy this cluster. I'm going to rebuild it from scratch because that external IP config, I built that when I initialized K3s, when I initialized that Kubernetes cluster. So thank you. Sorry that this was short, but it was good. I feel like we accomplished it. My hypothesis was proven correct because that's the only thing that's changed. So I think we're in good shape. So thank you for your time, and we'll hope to see you all again soon. Smile.
Cheers.